Clubhouse has started recording. Yeah.
1 sec. It says it will start recording soon. It's
I
not
see it recording. It
yet.
says on my top left, I see it red, John.
Okay, for me, it's still showing a spinny.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm
This laptop is ass.
suspect to start recording. Did it
Yeah.
go? Wait, did it go?
Yeah.
Did it go? All right. 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
That's good. Third time's a charm.
Chilling. Thanks. I'm chilling. Just got in Miami yesterday.
Nice.
Yo, bro,
You said the pool got open, right?
bro, it's so nice. Like our place, the Blub, like
Yeah, I mean that was
1200.
ratchet. Yeah.
It was ratchet, but I thought this pool was gonna be ratchet because the building is kind of ratchet, but it's
You're about to
mad
get smacked.
nice. It's mad nice.
Did they just renovated?
Yeah, they've been working on it for like a year or two.
Yeah. The
It has like
HOA.
outdoor showers, like
That's fine.
OD.
Is it warm?
But,
I mean, I don't even know if you need it in Miami. I guess like certain parts of the winter. But
we didn't go in the pool. We just like walked around, didn't
yeah.
like post up. But I'm assuming. I mean,
I feel like
it's
you're not
a
a big
luxury
water
condo building.
I feel like you're not a big water pool person. I mean, like unless it's freezing.
Cold water. Yeah.
Right.
No, I just I'm not the best swimmer. I don't know. I don't find myself like wanting.
A few million or billion swimmers, you were at the top. So
I was.
Sure.
Thank you. Got first place.
Never forget that.
Thanks. We're all Michael Phelps in some way.
Sure.
That's the episode title. But let me tell you about this. So Andrew Schultz's wife has like a food recommendation channel. Not channel, like Instagram page. And because my girlfriend is like, she's really good with restaurants and recommendations, and I saw some like similar, like Schultz's wife, I think her name is, actually I don't know her name, had recommended some of the places that we've been to. I like tried it out, and when we were in New York, when my girlfriend was visiting, we went to this omakase restaurant that was phenomenal. So like that page got a lot of trust. But then, so for our anniversary, I booked a restaurant here in Miami called Q, which is was supposed to be mad good, and it was on our list.
What kind of food?
It's like I think Korean barbecue.
Okay.
And
should have learned your lesson, Taimur. Korean barbecue.
Why? Coat was fire.
I thought you thought it was overhyped. Like,
I mean, it was overhyped.
It was good,
meaning it wasn't. But the thing is, it was not overhyped actually, because the cuts of meat they gave you were amazing. It was more just overhyped because I thought you could achieve 95% of the flavor with regular Korean barbecue meat. But now that I look back on it, it actually wasn't overhyped. It was because the whole experience was very
was good,
streamlined, very curated. The cocktails were amazing.
Yeah, there needs to be a word, because I was talking to JK about this, like a word to describe something being like good, but like the delta between like regular and how good it is, like not being worth the price. Like, I mean, I'm sure there's a word, and I don't know it, but like you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. And I definitely think that there should be a word for that too, but I'm not sure what that would be. But yeah, so we went to this restaurant and it was cap too. Like it was
really.
It was cap.
Was it like well known?
It's pretty well known. I don't know if we went on an off night, but we ordered like the same orders that she recommended, Schultz's girl, and it was like not good. It wasn't
like
bad.
Below
it was
average, or just like expensive?
No, but I mean like I would say like 6 out of 10.
Sure. So cap.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, some places just like, I don't know, like they can have an off day, or it's just like overhyped or something like that. But yeah, I don't know. It happens sometimes, and it's just the byproduct. It is. Also, sometimes people could go and like they'll be hungry when they go or something, or like their palate is a certain way and like they rate shit like way higher. So I don't know. But I'm sorry to hear that it wasn't didn't live up to the standard.
Bruh, I'm like, I still trust her, but that was pretty.
You got a little caution.
That's pretty heartbroken.
Fact. I feel like she goes
We
to a lot of
should.
these like well-known places, but like she'll go to Carbone and stuff, which are like good, but like they're like buzzy hotspots. But
Yeah, but she gets the obscure places too. Well, at least obscure to me, like that omakase place. Do you fuck with
Sure.
omakase?
Yes and no. I think it falls in whatever we're gonna call this word, like price delta word. Like I just don't find it generally falls in that category for me. Like I don't know if I like fish enough or like have a refined palate enough in fish to be like, okay, like yeah, this was like worth the difference. Like in the Jiro Dream sushi, like no one can even make rice until they've spent like 10 years there. And like I don't know, I'm sure I could be like, yes, this is better than this, but I don't know if I could like really appreciate it that much.
I think it's one of those things where it's like your skill level is determined more by the approval of your peers rather than like the average person. Although I will say that the omakase place, it was better than others that I had. The flavors were very like the flavor combinations were very unique. The presentation was mad cool. But I agree with you. I think omakase is definitely something like you take, someone on a date to. Like if you and I are going out to dinner, even if
You're
it's
not
like a
taking me
nice
on a
dinner
date?
for one of our birthdays, nah, we're not going to. Nah, we're getting a burger or like a steak or something.
Yeah.
We should go to get the burger at Raoul's. Try to do it.
I know. We'll go on a weekend.
Facts.
Once you get a spot.
Yeah. Well, July. I'll
Fun.
be.
Are you signing it?
Emailing with the management right now.
Lord.
Basically, yeah, it's from what I'm told, it's a pretty done deal. So, you never know, but
Dude, Williamsburg is so beautiful. Like, I've come to like certain parts of it I really, really enjoy. Like this morning I went to by the water. Like, I don't know, being so close to the water is undefeated.
Yeah, Domino Park is mad nice.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right.
Like that night that we chilled and saw Brandon was dumb nice.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think good, easy access to some sort of like decent nature, I think is like should carry more of a like, yeah, I don't know, should carry more of a weighting in deciding where to live. But
yeah, well, we don't really have decent nature in the city. I mean, I guess unless you're talking about like parks or like a view.
Central
I wouldn't
Park.
call the East River very decent. That shit is mad stinky, but I feel you.
Yeah.
Central Park is cool. How was your girlfriend's birthday? Fun?
A lot of fun. We had a good turnout. So I feel like for most parties, try to do like a little flair. Like mine, I didn't really do. I guess there was like a theme, but whatever. But like other parties, like do like ice luge or something that's like fun. So this one we did we bought a grill and like a charcoal grill, and like yeah on the rooftop just like made burgers and hot dogs.
If you eat meat, but you did it for the people.
Burger. Yeah.
Oh,
I mean we made like 30 something. I don't know. Like it was dope. Like we probably made 30, 40 burgers / hot dogs. Yeah, and they were just like dope and like I don't know. There's something about a grill and like I don't know some primitive shit that like everyone loves, just like fire and whatever. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. And
did Pedro come through?
No, he actually didn't. I don't know if he forgot or got busy, but yeah, I didn't even hear from him. So I actually was gonna text him like, yo. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Logistics, unfortunate you couldn't be there, but next time around.
Well, your girlfriend's birthday is my anniversary with my girlfriend, so it might be difficult.
Yeah. Instead of you could have had MG BBQ instead of Korean BBQ.
Facts.
Yeah.
Hey.
So I'm planning on finishing it tonight. I've been kind of Nassiming the book. Like if you enjoy the book, like go slowly. So I've been enjoying it a lot. I think
it's really good, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's one of those things like it's just a deep rabbit hole into one topic, and like it explained like so much can come out of that. And I
Mhm.
often think about what's this Siddhartha book, Siddhartha, whatever, and like
Mhm.
he talks about like the guys like, yep, the river taught me everything I know about like life, and
Mhm.
I like constantly think about that, but especially while reading this book, I'm like, yeah, it totally makes sense. But the first time I
Yeah.
read it, it didn't make as much sense, but it's definitely made more sense through time.
So for context, for all of our curious fans, we're talking about a book called The Lion Tracker's Guide to Life. It's a book written by a South African author, I believe he's South African author named Boyd Vardy, and he has an interesting life that he grew up on basically a like large wildlife preserve in South
Sure.
Africa. Not exactly a safari, but you know, that's I mean actually it might be, I don't really know, but
Yeah.
it's something similar. But basically what they do is they lead guided tours and they hunt lions, but not hunt and kill, just they track lions. They track them. So like when, guests on the reserve
I come to
or
vacation
preserve
there. Yeah.
come to vacation there, they can
They
show
know
them
where to
lions
go.
and stuff.
Yeah.
So he's telling
Bro,
this
I was thinking about
story.
that really quick. I was thinking like they should just get a drone, bro, and just fly that thing around. You don't have to track shit. You cover like 3 square miles a minute. Like,
At
I mean,
this point,
obviously it's
yeah,
not the magic, but yeah.
yeah. But there is something. So in this guy Boyd Vardy became like a life coach, and if you roll your eyes at that, don't, because he's actually very very legit. Maybe in a world where there's not a lot of legit life coaches, I don't really know, but he basically shares in this book his experience mentoring under like one of the last great trackers alive, whose skill set descends likely from the beginning of hunting,
Sure.
so and through these like through the exploration of this skill set, he kind of talks about life and how we can use the like insights of tracking
Sure.
to apply them to like how to live a life.
All these lessons from like retreat, all these things always just point, and we talked about this, remember, with Pappas too, and obviously other times, but just like so much of life is just like attention and focus and like being present, and like it seems like that is like upstream of like all good things, like,
Hmm.
and yeah, I don't know, this book just is 100% like dives into that, so.
Yeah. So you haven't finished it yet. What are your reflections on it so far? Like, are there any passages you remember just off the top of your head? Any
Yeah, yeah,
parts of the
there's
book?
there's a few. I think one of the main ones that I think like, would get like snaps, right, is the like, I don't know where I'm going, but I know how to get there. I think that is like, I don't know, just beautifully articulated kind of what life should, or yeah, like should be. And I think like I have a few things written down here, like there's a quote that if you know what the rest of your life looks like, you're probably on the wrong path. And yeah, I don't know, that just has been like hitting home. Um and yeah, that quote, just like life's an adventure and nothing at all. Like
Hmm.
I just constantly think about that. Like we're here to experience things, and and like I don't know. Everything I feel like that internally I know is just like go towards the things you're interested in, and like go explore, and like things will figure themselves out, and you'll like, I don't know, enjoy the process. So that's been
Hmm.
hitting home for me, and something I think I don't know. I think I'd like to apply to more decisions in the future.
Facts. I Tim Ferriss said something similar. He and I think Ray talked about this too, but um, Tim Ferriss famously says, like, quote, like, I don't have 10-year plans. I have 6-month projects and 2-week experiments, and that's how I live my life. And he said, like, if I'm gonna plan for something 3 to 5 years out, I'm definitely aiming below what I'll be capable of, because in that time between now and then, I'm gonna like
Sure.
become much better. So that's why I aim for 6 months. Like I know if I bust my ass for 6 months on a project, like I could create something of like very high quality, and then wherever that takes me, whatever
Sure.
remember he always talks about like the Scott Adams system thinking thing, like choosing projects based on that, even if this project is a flop, meaning in terms of, you know, financial reward, picking projects that even if it's a flop, you still develop relationships and skills that persist, you know, past the project. And I think that's a really good idea.
And that you also like enjoy the time. You know what I'm saying? I mean, obviously, like there's gonna be struggle during it, but like enjoyment doesn't mean a lack of struggle. Like, but yeah, I think all those things, 100%. And yeah, I think that's also one of the, remember, like I know we've spoken and read a lot about like things that grow exponentially and like how our brains aren't attuned to exponential growth. We know linear growth that like makes sense to us, but exponential growth, it's just like our brains don't comprehend it well or at all. And yeah, I think that what Tim is saying with like 5 years, like we don't understand if you're like learning and getting better constantly, like you're on an exponential, a good chance you could be on an exponential curve, and therefore like you'll 100% be underselling yourself if you make longer plans. So yeah, I like that a lot.
Another thing from the book, I remember he said something like, you know, sometimes in life we don't hear the call, but it's enough to want to hear the call, or like starting whatever your thing is. Like if you're, you know, you lose enthusiasm for something, or you just don't feel enthusiasm, it's like just the desire to want to feel that is the step. Like that's the first step.
Sure.
And that, I don't know if it's true or not, but it resonates. Like, because I think I definitely go through periods where I'm less enthusiastic about things that I was once very enthusiastic about, but then like that is something that that's persisted in.
Sure. Yeah, I think there has to be like this like there's obviously times you don't want to do shit, but like overall, like you should feel like this is feeding, I don't know, feeding you and making you feel like good. And I think it's one of those things, if you lived your life on this, you know, through this way, I think you would end life with fewer regrets and like general more cumulative happiness than if you didn't.
Yeah. I'm glad you like the book.
Yeah.
It's Tim, like
I remember you said that, yeah.
So he did that subscriber experiment, and I like, or supporter experiment or whatever, and like I was like supporting the podcast. I like donating $10 a month or something. He discontinued that experiment, but every once in a while he would like send us an email and be like, "Hey, my, you know, people that subscribe to me, here's a little treat." And so he bought everyone, bless you, he bought everyone like a Kindle version of the book. So
I wonder if like the boy just like hooked him up and was like, "Yo, get this out to people." Like, I don't know, creates this network effect.
He really liked the book, I think.
No, I'm sure. But I'm sure he's like,
yeah, they're friends.
Yeah. Guy's not gonna get an email from Tim and just GG it. Like,
yeah, that's a fact. So good book. I think I want to reread it, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, you can knock it out in one sitting easily. I just think like you don't need to, and I think it's just like, yeah. Have you any updates on your reading pursuits since finishing the fiction series?
No, I honestly haven't found anything. After finishing that book, I started watching a TV show in anime called Demon Slayer, which is pretty popular right now, but I finished that. And no, I need to find something new to sink my teeth into. There are some contenders, but I haven't done too much like looking yet.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned maybe last time we spoke that I want to give Beginning of Infinity another try.
Right.
Because I made it like 30% through that book, and then I think we went to Miami. No, I think we just went to Miami, and I was like, okay, like there was not very much reading getting done that first stint when we were in Miami. Yeah, but no. What about you? What you been reading?
I'm reading this, and then I just started today this book called The Cold Start Problem. So this guy was basically like helped Uber while they were like hockey sticking in growth, and like the whole book is about like there's the whole concept of like Metcalfe's law that like the value of a network is like squared of the number of nodes in it.
Yeah.
and he says it's like kind of flawed and not nuanced enough. And it just talks about what it takes to actually start a network and like how to get the network to grow, because it will grow like exponentially. And it talks about Tinder and like a few other networks and how they like got things started, right? Because if you, let's say with like eBay, if you start, right, like if there's only sellers and no buyers, no one wants to sell anymore. If there's only buyers and no sellers, buyers aren't going to come back. So it's like it's this chicken and egg problem, and you're like figuring it out. So it kind of just goes into the details of like, how do you really solve this problem, which is incredibly difficult to crack. But once it's cracked, it's just like, it's just constant process, but you've unlocked like an unbelievable, I don't know, you've unlocked a big achievement, I guess, and a
Yeah.
mode for your business. So that's what I've been reading. I didn't fully finish that book, Seeing Like a State. I don't know, it didn't grip me that much, but there were definitely like interesting parts to it, and I think parts that I'll be thinking about for a little bit. So.
I feel like Balaji book recommendations are the kind of books that have to grip you. Because I remember I tried reading The Gray Lady Winked. He's mentioned that book a couple times. And it didn't grip me. And
Sure.
I really like, sort of Nassim and Naval's sort of philosophy towards books, which is just like, I don't know. There's definitely, the Bill Gates school of thought, but
Sure.
I more like the Nassim and Naval, like just
If you like it,
don't
read
waste
it.
your
If not,
time. Exactly, because like your taste will change over time, and it's more important, I believe, for that, like just getting your volume
sure.
in, because there's so many good ideas out there. Like you will get exposed to a lot of them, and I
Sure.
think as like you get further and further, like if you read more and more and fall more in love with reading, it will be easier to, like, your
Unlock these
curiosity
things.
is just naturally going to grow. Yeah.
Right. I feel like Balaji recommends a lot of these like fringe books that like the ideas are like A1, but like the writing like style and like, I mean, he doesn't really prioritize good writing necessarily, or like engaging
Yeah.
writing. So like the ideas are really interesting, but it's just like it can be like just dry and tough to get through.
Yeah, and I feel that way about the beginning of Infinity, honestly. Like, David Deutsch
David,
is not, I think, the best writer, but
the ideas are
yeah, I mean, Naval like worships that book, and he put me onto so many things that I love, like all of Nassim's books and other ones that I feel like I should, I don't know, give it another try.
sure. I mean, no downside.
Facts.
But, trying to think what else. If I've seen anything, I haven't watched anything that notable. Watched the Truman Show, which I know is like a classic movie.
Hmm.
I don't know, a good watch, but nothing crazy. What else? Oh, I really liked the Farnham Street this morning. I thought was really, really good. And like out of the blue, my sister texted me and was like, "Yo, the Farnham Street today was fire." And I was like, yeah, "That's a fact."
Okay.
If you haven't
So,
read it, I would recommend peeping it.
okay, that's two endorsements.
Yeah, it.
Definitely trust the big sis's recommendations.
Yeah. It was good. It was just basically talking about like the part that I liked the most about it was just like about, and this once again from the retreat, like if you mark something as good or you mark something as bad, you automatically like introduce the duality of it. Whereas if you just accept things like as they are, there is no, there aren't those aspects to it. And I don't know. I think it just like reading it just, I don't know, just gave me a lot of peace with something I was thinking about. But yeah, um, so highly recommend.
Facts. All right, I'll check it out after this.
But
I think I just got to a point though where, like, when I first started listening to Varys, I started listening to Varys back in 2014, when you were a freshman, I was a sophomore, and back then it felt like novel, like all this like life optimization,
sure.
wisdom, like has someone or what's your morning routine, like all that kind of shit. It seems so saturated now, like everyone is
Sure.
doing that, like, and which is not to say that the value is still not there, but I find like, you remember in Yuval's newest book, 21 Lessons for 21st Century. He said the opening line was something like in the modern world where we're inundated by information constantly, clarity is power. And then he goes on, it's like knowledge is abundant, like everyone has access to pretty much the same knowledge. It's the ability to focus and sort of
and
slice
distinguish
through
what's
that.
important and not.
So I don't do as good a job of like looking at my newsletters because I don't know, like what is
I don't even
the
subscribe. I have subscribed to next to no newsletters unless they're like, I really am like constantly like, I don't know, probably 70, 80%, or 80% of the time I'm getting value from it.
That's good. I should probably unsubscribe from stuff, but the mindset gap is what it's called. Yeah, I mean, I'll read it. It's a good endorsement, so I'll read it.
Yeah, I mean, they're quick. Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree to that. I think we get so lost in like what, I don't know, to that point, just like we lose track of what is important. I think that book, the Lion Tamer book or Lion Tracker book, really touches on that. Like, there really are only a few key things, and like through the lens of those few key things, you could probably make most decisions with a decent amount of clarity and like have pretty good results.
Facts. You're making me want to reread it. I think I'll start it tonight because
Yeah.
I remember being blown away by that book just by like when he describes the alpha tracker. I don't know. It's
Yeah,
alpha,
that
but
guy's
like
a
the
beast.
head tracker, Renius or Renius. I'm not to say his name, but such a beast.
Yeah. I watched a YouTube video. This guy like travels to this like super remote part of Africa and like lives with his tribe and like hunts baboons for like a few days. And like,
Was it David Shaw?
no, I don't remember. I don't remember what the guy. There's some random YouTuber.
Okay.
But it was interesting this guy to talk about it because it seemed like in that world, like, or in that video, like these people were so far removed from modern life, whereas this guy seems like the bridge between the two. And like, yeah, it is just pretty remarkable to hear how he navigates and like, yeah, his way of operating. It's crazy when you hear like I feel like this with like Elon, like when you hear someone speak and how they like process reality, and when it's just like so vastly different than like most people you hear or yourself, like I feel like this elite tracker was the same thing where it's just like his sense of reality was so vastly different than almost anyone I've heard, and like in a positive way. So.
Yeah. Dude, what is with like I was trying to explain this the other day. I don't get why Elon gets so much hate. Like it doesn't fully compute to me. Like I get he's a troll, but there's like this whole narrative that like he basically inherited all of his money
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like basically didn't like is not responsible for any of the engineering in Tesla and like
I think it's just like ignorance around understanding, and it's like easy to be like, oh, he's just a billionaire doing X, Y, Z, like just buying Twitter, like just flaunting his wealth. Like it's easy to take this like shallow narrative, but like when you really understand it and like understand what he's doing, like, and I'm sure anyone who works close to him, even though I've heard not the best things, like everyone says he's remarkable, even if they don't like him or do like him. But I think it's just like a lack of wanting to spend the time to understand it, which is
and I think back to what you said, like if you're not an engineer or if you're not someone who's tried to build something like technical or business related, like some sort of technology or business, it kind of doesn't maybe click right away how unbelievable the sort of engineering feats that he and the teams at his companies together have, know,
achieved.
But
Paul
Graham had a go ahead.
I was gonna say like the achievements he have, right? Like he has like you'll see this the Model 3, or you'll see like the rocket that lands itself, right? You'll see like Dragon, whatever. Each one of those invention or each one of those like products, like inside have like hundreds, if not more, like inventions inside of them that are like brand new, which is nuts.
Yeah.
I think that's what was
that's what's mind blowing. Paul Graham was like, he had a tweet something like, I was quoting him, paraphrasing, I was trying to figure out like how Elon is able to do what he's able to do, and I came to one conclusion: like he's simply an engineering genius.
Yeah.
Like, and everyone who works close to him says that, you
Says that.
know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, I think that's why you and I like him. Like, I'm not like, I don't look at someone in like their bank like account. Like
Sure.
when Bill Gates was the richest guy, or then it was Bezos, I wasn't like, damn, those guys are legit. But something about Elon, like he's like,
I mean, you know they
and
were legit, those other guys, but like this is just like another like
yeah,
category. Yeah.
yeah.
I
I
think
mean,
just
like
because so
Elon,
cross-disciplinary, like so many like
yeah.
different, but yeah.
But it's also like the way when he speaks in interviews, like when he's not trying to be funny, when he's, you know, dissecting, like you ask him a technical question, you see like he does that, you know, like 1,000-yard stare look, and then like
Sure.
comes to a conclusion, or like figures out like, okay, so this is the problem we're trying to solve,
Sure.
but this is actually, and then he just reframes it to like, it's
Right.
actually, we're trying to answer this question. You're like, oh yeah, duh, but you
Right.
would have never thought of it on your own. Like,
Right. Right.
um,
You ever
he has
notice
one,
too when he speaks how his eyes move? He's like
yeah,
constantly shifting his eye. There was something I read once. It was like a quote, and someone was like, "How can you tell if someone's intelligent?" And like someone was like, "Oh, you can tell by someone's eyes." And I always thought that was interesting. And like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how frequently I don't know how often I notice it, but I don't know. I don't know. It's really a good sign, but it was interesting.
yeah,
What were you saying?
I don't remember.
Facts.
Something about Elon, him
Facts.
being amazing,
The boy. That boy.
but he's top one of the top goats for me for sure. Elon.
Yeah. I mean, he's just true and true, like entrepreneur, like just awesome. And I feel like it's cool. Like it's kind of cool because like right here he says like he was pretty like many times Tesla's close to being bankrupt. Like they were one like launch away from SpaceX like going out of business. Like he kind of just got the first down, and now like is able to operate on a whole another level where he has like this influence, money, all these things that like yeah, like he just has all these leverage tools to just like make crazy moves that seem to be helping society or are helping society.
I would be hard pressed to believe anything other than he is doing the majority of what he's doing because he believes it's good for humanity's future.
Sure.
And it kind of bums me out when like with this Twitter thing, when everyone's like comparing him to all the other billionaires who have bought like media companies. But at the same time, I don't want to be naive because it could be possible that, you know, there's some ulterior motive or something. But I mean, it'll be interesting. We'll see what happens.
Sure.
There's a whole
thing about that, like the jet account that like tracks his jet, like if he's going to take that down or I don't know. I think in one sense, like, yeah, it's kind of a breach of security and kind of like weird, but also like he's got to realize like trust in this platform is like fundamental. And like if he does anything to kind of shake that, like he's got to kind of pick his battles where it's really important.
I don't think he would buy a platform just because of the like
No,
44 billion for someone to have you.
No, it's not that he did that for that. It's just that like as an owner, he could just be like, this account's getting clapped. Like,
yeah, a lot of people are definitely saying it's for him to control his own narrative, but I don't know.
We'll see. I think, like you said, we'll see it, and
we'll
I
see.
think it's like probabilistically, it's probably more likely that it'll go well than not. Yeah. But there is a chance.
I think what I've been thinking about this recently, like with this, you know, his sort of stated reason for acquiring Twitter was to, you know, like make sure that we, yes, open the app, but also make sure like we like work hard to preserve free speech as a sort of operating principle in society. And it's interesting to see so many like sort of people reacting negatively, like free speech, at least in the extremes. And what you see on Twitter is definitely magnified. It's not like the held beliefs of most people, but what you see on Twitter is like, you know, either people like there are some people who are like claiming that free speech is like extremely like conservative right value. And like I'm wondering, like I was just thinking like, okay, we've been told since we were kids that free speech is a good thing, and I believe in my gut that it is, because non-freedom is like scary, but why is free speech actually like a value or an ideal for society to strive towards? Like,
I mean, I think we're like, so like we haven't been in like a truly like I don't know, authoritarian like government. Like we haven't lived that life. Like we don't even know how vastly
mhm,
different life is in one of those things. And like I think that's some people
yeah,
are like hampered by that.
no, for sure. And I think the fact that like being able to say what you think without fear of like negative repercussion,
Sure,
whether it's
whether
sort
that's the
of
government or like society. Yeah,
society, um, it's crazy to think that, you know, the stories you hear, like, remember Saudi Arabia, they killed that reporter because he said
sure.
shit about the Saudi government. And, you know, they
China,
always say in Russia, like China, like Jack Ma, like Russia, all this stuff. There was that
sure.
crazy thing about the tennis player earlier,
Yeah, bro, that was wild.
wild, in China. Yeah, it's I feel my sense of it is that the problem with sort of top down control of any kind is that the people doing it's like it's always that the control is coming from people, and people like are susceptible to, you know, all the negative shit that's
Sure.
happened, you know, like
Their
corruption, sort of
their motivations, exactly.
nepotism. Yeah,
Yep.
their incentives are like not going to be the same as the people who are getting affected by the rules, you know.
Sure.
So it just seems like free speech is one of those things that sort of supports a democracy, which really just understands that I think people are fallible, and to be ruled like with
With that in mind.
impunity by someone, like to be ruled with impunity by someone or a group of people who are just as fallible as the people being ruled,
Sure.
like that is like a high probability of leading to some sort of negative consequence socially
Sure.
and sort of federally.
Sure. But yeah,
What do
yeah, I agree. And I think like there's also right this I think Obama was actually speaking about this lately, right? Like if everyone has free speech, everyone can, you know, portray their opinions. But if you have technology or media companies that like filter what narratives and like what yeah, like everyone's sense of reality of what the narrative is, like
Mhm.
that is obviously a huge, you know, uh could provide be a huge fault in free speech, right? Like if you only listen to CNN or only Fox, like your sense of what reality is like greatly distorted.
Mhm.
And I think that's yeah, I think open sourcing like how the like algorithm works like is in line with that.
I really like what Elon said, which is that something like he tweeted, "Free speech is when
Yeah,
like
far left and far right.
the right and the left like hate each other equally and are present just as equally on the platform."
Right.
Something like that. I mean, we'll see what he does. If anyone understands technology, it's him. So
Sure. But if there's anyone who doesn't understand, who may not have the highest EQ, though, it also might be it. But
yeah,
I don't know. We'll see how things go. I imagine. I don't know. I think it has a higher probability of leading to a positive outcome, even though it's probably not going to be a straightforward path there.
yeah.
You said something before that I wanted to touch base or like talk about was the we were talking about incentives. And I remember some book or something I was reading that was talking about like some company had like a CIO, a chief incentive officer. And like that's not a thing at like any company, or at least main company, like major
Mhm.
companies. But I was thinking about that, like in terms of like at a company, it's like there may not be a more like impactful role if you think about it. Like, how do you incentivize leadership, employees, like to do the most positive thing and like be yeah productive towards that? Um, and I was also thinking about like if it was applied to someone's own life, like if you could go like talk to a incentive officer for your own life, like what are your incentives, like what how are you incentivizing yourself to get the things you want in life, because I don't think people think about that enough.
It's a fact. It's definitely, but I wonder to what degree can you actually influence that? Like, I'm cynical, maybe not cynical, but skeptical that we can control it like a ton, because I think a lot of incentives are built into us. But maybe we can sort of hack them or like leverage the pre-existing incentives and put ourselves into situations where we're like served best by serving them. I don't know. Like, it's an interesting question though. Like,
Yeah.
how do you to the degree that you can manipulate your own sort of incentives, or even just like become
Just
aware of what
align.
they are.
Yeah, just like aligning your actions with what you want. Like, yeah. And I honestly, I don't think either of us are experts enough to know like the biological incentives and all these things. Like, obviously, there's like,
Hmm.
right, like what is it, like random feedback or whatever, like a slot machine, like that leads to the most like continuous like effort. I don't know. Like, I don't think we know any of the real knobs to turn here to like understand it. But I imagine if someone like really studied it and applied it, like I feel like there's probably some benefit that could get like
Hmm.
applied. Like, clearly at a company level you can, but I'm sure at the individual level as well.
Thanks. Do you want to hit up some of these questions?
Yeah, yeah. Let's do it.
Okay, so we went over some last week that some were good, but that list we found was kind of capped. So I'm gonna go from here. Okay, the Tim's question about the purchase. So, what purchase of $100 or less has most positively impacted your life in the last, you know, chunk of time?
Mm, I gotta check my list really quick. I'll let you go first because I have a list that I
Okay.
keep of stuff like this.
So a couple things. First that comes to mind is I bought that vacuum that I told you about,
Oh yeah.
the Dyson dupe. I mean, it's not
Hmm.
the OG Dyson because it's really expensive, but
Hmm.
it's like 80% as good, maybe even higher. But bro, I love it. Like,
Fact.
I just like,
You
I think
enjoy
it's
vacuuming.
well, I mean, I always enjoyed vacuuming. To think about like old vacuums is like it has a big ass unit and you have to like plug it in and like when you're going to a different room. I don't know. I don't know how long people have had wireless vacuums, but I have not
Sure.
had a wireless vacuum until this one.
Sure.
And I
Game
think it
changer.
just takes the friction out of doing it because like, instead of like, okay, once a week or like, oh,
Did your
I have to
chief incentive
take
officers
it
hire
out
you?
of, yeah, take it out of the closet and plug it in, and then you go to a different room, so you have to carry this fucking brick and plug it into somewhere else and then
Right.
extend the wire. It's like, such a headache,
And
and
they're
it's
like
really not.
mad loud too. They're even louder than the wireless ones.
Yeah, dude, they're so loud. The wireless one's not that loud.
That's what I'm saying. It's nice. Like, you don't have to like blow your ears out.
Facts. And yeah, that's been awesome. And then these headphones,
Fact.
a little bit more than $100, but I love them. Which you're wearing the same headphones,
Fact.
and they're just mad. The sound. So these are the Sony noise canceling headphones, and the noise canceling is elite. The sound quality is elite. The battery life is elite. Just overall elite
Yeah. Well
possession.
made product.
Yeah.
Oh, that just reminded me of a good question. I
All right. Write it down.
like. I'll ask it after my. Do you have other things or?
And that's all that comes to mind
Okay.
right now.
I have two.
All right. Hit me.
Do you want the cheaper one or the more expensive one? I'll tell
Let's
both.
go with both. Let's go with both. Start with cheaper.
So the cheap one is a sliding webcam cover. I think
Okay.
for like you can, I guess, get one for like 50 cents. But I think the peace of
Yeah.
mind of just like one, that if someone like hacks your computer, they don't have a sight into your life. Two, like
Yeah.
I don't know. There's times where like I don't know, like in between things or whatever. Like it's just like a nice peace of mind knowing that like
Mhm.
there is a physical like final control over like your camera. So I think that is my super cheap one. And then my other one is these like smart plugs I have. You can get like a pack of 3 or 4 for like $20, $25 and elite, like have them connected to my lamp for controlling my lights, like so I can everything is like through the voice, and then the real goat one is connected to my AC. And like if I'm coming back from the gym, I'll turn it on, and then when I get home, my apartment's already like pre-cooled, so save money. And then yeah, like I just have like complete control over it, which is so nice. Yeah.
So your yeah, no, I mean when I was staying at your place, I noticed that. If you don't have it connected to voice, is there like an app on your phone
Yeah,
that you
yeah.
can just connect to?
Mhm,
Okay.
mhm. And I've
Yeah.
like used that for things like that's what I'll use like with the AC. Like I'll be like, okay, I'll be home in like 10-15 minutes, then I'll just tap it on my phone. Um,
I
it's
gotta
also
get
fun to
those.
like I flicker my light, like if my girlfriend's home and I'm not home, then I'll like flicker the light just to scare her. Like, uh,
Yeah. No, I want to get those. Maybe I'll ask my girlfriend if there's anything that she would want them for here. But I definitely want to get those. Um, I could
for how
think of
cheap
some
they are.
things. No, they're
Yeah,
so cheap and like, you know, it's crazy that like, yes, a lot of the reason that or a lot of the benefit of these things is like making your life slightly more convenient, but it feels like a lot more. Like I'm thinking my room back in New York, like to turn like walking over and turning on my amp. Sometimes I just don't want to do it.
yeah.
Like I
For
just like
six
I have
dollars,
my
you can just
guitar, I got the wire already. Let me just turn it on. Um,
friction once again
yeah, like you want to have a frictionless life,
where
but
it
then you
matters.
just got to make sure that you like seek challenge still, like whether it's
Facts.
hard workouts or like learning
Sure,
new
sure.
skills and shit.
I have a cool product for you. I think you'd like. So I have the thing that like opens my like front door.
Yeah,
That's an elite purchase. But that same company, they make a thing that goes. So if you have like mine blinds or like slide blinds,
yeah.
this thing goes in the rail. But the elite part of it, you can set it as your alarm. So like at like 9 in the morning or whatever, you can set it to like wake you up with sunlight, which is elite.
Yeah, I actually saw that on TikTok,
Oh
and
really?
it's on my list of things to buy. Yeah,
Like, it's like
um,
I think it's like $100. Falls
yeah,
under.
it's worth
I
it
don't
though.
have it, but it's cool.
I
Yeah,
think it's worth it. I don't
yeah,
own it yet, but
yeah.
the crib I'm going to be moving into, fingers crossed, does not have great windows, so
Gotta
that's
place
something
a
to think
mirror.
about. Facts. Is that like a thing people do? Like it kind
I
of
mean, just
stimulates the
yeah, it makes
effect?
things more like spreads light
Mhm.
on. Um,
Okay, so what's the question you thought about?
yeah. So this is an interview question that like some places will ask, but like, what's a well-designed product in your opinion? Could be software, could be
Kindle.
hardware. Kindle.
Kindle. I love my Kindle.
Tell
Like,
me what. I
look,
mean, I
I
do
think a
too,
lot
but
of yeah, I think a lot of people think like, oh no, like I like reading physical books and like, look, I get it, but the Kindle, I think it gets very close to simulating the like quality of like the feel of reading a book, but it's so convenient. Like I have like over 200 books on my Kindle, and it's a very robust product. I got this in like 2011. Like
I know.
it's over like it's 10 years old or something like I mean 11,
Mine is
12 years old now.
product old too. I got the one
Yeah,
with the
you have
buttons,
one
bro.
older than me, right?
I
Yeah.
know. And I bought it used. This thing like
Damn,
got like Jeff Bezos' sweat on it.
that us. Um, that's the podcast episode. Jeff Bezos is nah. Um, yeah, and I I I love it. It's like my favorite, one of my favorite possessions. I think it's a very well designed product, and I'm specifically talking about the Kindle Paperwhite.
Sure,
I don't like the other Kindles that are basically iPads, like
sure.
internet access, all that stuff. Like
Yeah, don't need that shit.
this Kindle, like I can't go on social media on it. Can't.
Sure.
I mean, it has a web browser, but like it's
Yo, using
capped.
the
Like it's
browser on your Kindle, gosh.
yeah. That's how
I
you
like
know.
the
Like
thing you could just like email it like an article and then it just shows
yeah,
up. Like that's an elite. That's like underrated
dude.
feature of like
So I found this website that it'll
convert.
for right now it's only for Substack, but I read a couple of Substacks and it'll convert it and send it to your PDF like your
Yeah,
Kindle. But it also formatted so it looks good because sometimes I don't know if you've ever
yeah.
sent like PDFs and they just
Yeah,
like
shit looks wild.
hit.
There was one
Yeah,
of Bray's books that he released at a PDF, and this shit like it was impossible to read. Honestly, it's like
yeah,
the when it, as soon as like it was like the first version of the Big Dead crisis.
yeah.
Gosh,
So I would have to
okay.
go with Kindle. I just think it just makes reading very frictionless. Also, like it definitely increases my spending on books because until actually I learned about Libby, because I do have like a pipeline of
Maybe a
books
leap.
now. Libby is elite.
That
I
might be
think the
it.
U Now the UI could be better though.
Sure, but like
It's a lot better than what it was.
the
Do you remember
whole
what it was like two
system,
years ago?
bro. Overdrive was wild, bro. You gotta like
Oh my god,
you gotta put some sticks together to like start the app, like
it was
crazy.
whack.
But the
But
system, the overall like library system, elite.
elite, so
Ben
good.
Franklin.
So yeah, Kindle plus Libby, like
Facts.
that is a killer combo. And I don't know. I think everyone should own a Kindle. It just makes like reading
Facts.
so much more like
And it's like
frictionless.
$100.
Like yeah, it's
Less.
it's very inexpensive.
Yeah.
It's
And it
what
lasts, yeah.
that's the cost of like 7 to 8 books. You know, like
It's the cost of like an hour out in New York City.
that is.
Okay.
That's a good way. It's on a sidebar. I find it's very helpful to think in terms of like, sometimes I like
Yeah,
don't
I've
want to
noticed
buy
this too. Yeah.
something.
Like, oh, it's like a quarter
Something,
of a dinner.
yeah, and then you're like, oh shit, okay. Like something that is actually good for me. Like I was like, I
Sure.
don't know, I want to save money, and it's like, dude, this is you spent that much like when you went to Raoul's, like
Literally.
fucking buy it.
But I guess
Like
you gotta pick a good point of reference for your reality. Like if your point of reference for reality is real, it's like, like everything becomes affordable. But facts.
facts.
But someone said in college, it was like, oh yeah, I think of everything in like Ike sandwiches. I was like, yeah, that's pretty fun. Even though
Yo,
Ike's went downhill,
that's some
it's
college shit though.
better.
It did, dude. Yo,
I know.
when I was in San Francisco, I think we talked about this when we were in San Francisco, but I went with
Felt
Meg
it.
and Deep, and it was like not as good.
I was like the bread went from like an 8.6, 8.7 to like a 4. Like it was elite bread, like the Dutch crunch, like with the like crazy top on it,
So
like.
good.
But then now it was just like, yeah, wow, and not
It was
crunchy.
wag.
Yeah.
Yo, Ike's was a time.
That
It
was
was like
like,
it's like lucha, dude. It's like lucha.
yeah,
Like
yeah. I think they
happy.
took like and Phil's. Those are like I feel like I really like that move. Like
No, I
Phil's and
like
an Ike's would
Phil's.
be
Phil's was mad good. Yeah, that'd be confusing to the body though, because the carbs, but then the caffeine, like you'd be like
sure. And
sleepy
like
and like awake at the same time.
200 grams of sugar from the coffee. Yeah.
All right, you. What is a product that you think is very well designed?
I have two, but I'll do one or both. But one is I'll go with I think the AirPods and AirPods Pros, even though I think they could be built better, are like a perfect product in terms of like optimization. So
Mm,
I forget what book I think it was The Selfish Gene, but it talks about how like all living forms, or it was this other book on biomimicry that like all living forms like are highly adapted to their environment, whatever you define the environment as. And I think the AirPods do an incredible job of optimizing for their environment. So what I mean by that is like the length of time that the batteries in your AirPods will last, like specifically in ear, like without being in the case, like I think maybe once I've run into that limit while I was on a plane, which is like irrelevant. And then you can
mm,
put them in the case and they like rapid charge within like 5-10 minutes. You can use them for another like hour or two. So
mhm.
I think that they was like when designing them, you have to optimize it, right? Like you don't want to have like something that looks like wild big, but you don't. So I think they optimize the battery perfectly for that.
Mhm.
Layered on top of the case, the case elite, and it acts as a charger and it's wireless, like all check, check, check. Great design. And then the case like lasts mad, like rarely ever am I like, oh, my case is about to die. Like I'm not gonna have headphones. Like,
Mhm.
and it also once again rapidly charges. So yeah. But I do think build quality could be better on the microphone. Noise canceling when it's like working is great. So I definitely has a little bit of QA to figure out, but I think like in terms of optimizing battery and like portability, I think it's like A1. And like I literally carry my AirPods like everywhere with me. So
Yeah,
that is my answer for them.
yeah, yeah. I agree with all that. The only gripe I have with them, my AirPods are buzzing these days,
Yeah,
and I think
that's
it's
what I'm
because I've
saying. They get
dropped them mad
GG.
times. But like, I've dropped them mad times. But no, the value of extracted from them is like 10 times over what I initially paid for
Yeah.
them.
That is a
No,
fault, 'cause I feel
they're
like everyone has dropped them. Many people have lost it, like, but
mhm,
I still think it's worth it, like, without
yeah,
yeah.
no, they're amazing. I do hate the like just the the hedonic treadmill idea that like adapt to we adapt to new like pleasures very quickly, and I hate that like AirPods just become regular, because I remember when I first got AirPods, I was like, I've only had one pair of AirPods, and the
Yeah,
ones I have
me
now.
too.
I remember thinking like these are like revolutionary.
Sure.
But you just get used to them.
What's that quote? It's like the best way to stay young is like, uh, be in awe of things, like, gotta daily be in awe of
Hmm.
the air and these new,
Yeah,
the new wireless ones.
yeah.
Facts.
No, I like these a lot. I've been listening to a lot more music since I got these
Yeah,
headphones.
and you gotta up the, like, quality on your, Spotify and all that shit.
Hmm. Oh, I haven't done that
Yeah,
yet. I might have
and I
already
think
had it
there's, like,
maxed out
settings
though.
too that you can even, like,
There's
change
an
because
app,
there's with Bluetooth, it can, like, yeah, and, like, if you use what's it, the one that Jack Dorsey bought, Tidal, like, you get
Tidal.
even higher streaming quality,
Yeah, I don't want to
but
get Tidal though. Yo, something that I saw that I want to get, uh, a Bluetooth enabled vinyl player.
interesting, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
they
want to get
sell
one of those.
adapters. You can buy a regular one. They sell adapters that you plug into the aux port, and then it just, like, turns it to a Bluetooth device, like, obviously not as
Hmm.
slick, but, like, I don't know how much they're charging for the Bluetooth enabled one versus the
Yeah,
regular.
yeah, I don't know either, but
Both facts. Should we, wrap things up in a little bit? I know we're hovering around an
yeah, let's
hour.
like do like one or two more questions. Maybe
Okay.
just one more. If let me check this list.
I had one here. I don't know if you have
Um,
one.
Go for it then. I don't have
This
one
one
queued
was,
up.
what qualities would you look for in a mentor right now, and why would you pick those traits?
I feel like see when I read that question you put it, I was just like I feel like mentors come into your life and they sort of reveal what you didn't know. I mean,
Mm.
in general qualities, I think generosity, like um
I think more of, like, in terms of the review, like, the whole question is to, like, see what you think would be helpful right now.
um I would love to have a mentor who was able I think I could be better at making decisions, like and having I was just thinking about this the other day, like my parents' reference experience in life is so different than like what I'm going through and the kind of decisions I have to make.
Mhm.
Um, and I think it's one of those things that we live like in this, the modern world, especially with remote work and, like uh fortunate enough to live in this country and like young, like we have so much freedom. And I think I get hit by like the paradox of choice thing
Mm,
pretty frequently.
mm.
And I think listeners of the podcast would remember when we were talking about like Miami versus New York and how it's just like, oh, I don't know. I would love to have a mentor right now to talk to, just to be like, can you like what is the best like what is you as in the mentor, like what is your perspective on like what to optimize for at 27 years old? Like if
Sure,
these are my goals, and then to be specifically like how do you think about like where you're gonna live?
sure.
You know? And I'm happy with the decision I made. I think it's the right decision, but it took a while to get there. And yeah, I just that would be elite. Like the
Fact.
way like Professor Carroll was for me in
Sure.
college, like, and for a lot of us, like I remember, dude, like people would be lined up outside his office
I
hours,
know.
and you would go for like 5 minutes to talk about a paper, and then it would just be like a
Advice and chilling.
not, yeah, it would be like advice from like a wise man,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that was elite. It was just so much clarity. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
There
actually
was
one of the just
go
to
for it.
finish up this
Yeah.
point, when I was interviewing at Gemini, I was speaking to my now manager as my final interview, and he's incredibly experienced software engineering career, and he said something like to me that I asked him like, what's the best thing to focus on at this point in my career, given that, pretty new still, only like a year of experience as a software engineer. And he said like mentorship is everything. And like, you
Sure.
should seek to, find mentors and, cultivate relationships with people who are ahead of you in the path that you are taking,
Sure.
and sort of use their experience as guidance. And
Facts.
I think that's one of the reasons I want to be in New York, is because a lot of heads go into the office, and like
Sure.
getting to form relationships with people
Do,
there.
do you guys have like a formal mentor program?
No.
You should. That'd be cool. You should. You should. That'd be sick to take the lead on like setting one up and being like, I mean, maybe in like, I don't know, maybe when you feel a little more like there, but like we have one, and like I
Yeah.
know a lot of people make use of it, and I'm like, I feel like they would love to see that like initiative, and
Yeah.
like it's something you want to see. So.
We had like an onboarding buddy, but
Yeah.
nothing like a formal mentorship
Sure.
experience yet. I think it'd be cool, but yeah, right now like so much of my cognitive sort of energy
Load
is
is on
focused
learning
on like,
everything.
learning, like getting, continuing to get good at Scala, like,
Sure.
performing my tasks well. So
Huh.
I cut you off. You were about to say something.
I was gonna say that reminds me of Naval. I mean, Nassim had a tweet the other day that was just like transparency, like effect or something like that. Like as things get better, like everything else, like things seem worse as things get better because there's like such a bigger like contrast. And he was also saying that like
That's
also
mind
now
blowing.
there's and that now that there's like I don't know, we see like war in Ukraine, all these things like as the world becomes more, I would say in general, like free speech like has gone up through time, right? And like as things are more noticeable, yeah, like you're gonna notice a lot more of the bad as well. So
Hmm.
yeah, all those points. Facts.
I
I
think
think
we're,
mine
yeah. Go ahead.
quick would just be I think mine would also be I think like good decision making and understanding how to manipulate reality to get what you want is like I would say fundamental to like having a life that you
Hmm.
find fulfilling and like yeah I think better decision making because I had a lot of trouble with my decision of where to live and like I don't know just broader like career and various other decisions. So, yeah, that'd be mine as well. But maybe someone will come into my life and reveal other things that I need
Yeah.
entering out.
I have actually been thinking about this like in the last couple of weeks. So like I'm longing for like a relationship similar to the one I had with Dr. Carroll in college. And
Sure.
like in high school, I had a teacher, Mr. Otis, who was this incredibly wise man, and lost touch with him. But
Shoot 'em up.
he gave, yeah, I last time I saw him was like 3 years ago. But I don't know what's up with him. I should hit him up.
I'm sure if you emailed him, he'd love it.
Yeah. I yeah, I'm like longing for that kind of thing. But outside of like the structure of school, I guess work is where you would get it. But
Yeah,
um,
there's no like real good. Yeah, and it's unfortunate because it's like a sense like you said, you need it. Like I've spoken to someone who is like my mentor in many ways, and he's like, yeah, it's good to have
mm,
someone who's like 1, 2, 3 steps ahead of you.
Carlos,
Yeah,
yeah, he was elite. Like
yeah,
with the one
yeah,
time I
dude.
met him, I just felt like this guy knows a lot of shit. Like, and I don't
Yeah,
mean like about like domain knowledge. He like domain specific. Like he emanated like certain like an air of like certainty and wisdom
yeah.
about like
I
where he
mad
was
wise.
at in life and where he was going.
Yep, facts.
Um, Same topic very quickly. If you can have anyone in the world as a like to mentor you, who do you think you would choose?
I'd probably pick like some kind of like monk of some sort or something like that, like or like a tech
Really?
form. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think like
Why? Interesting. Why?
I just think like I wouldn't want to pick someone who's like too domain specific, or I'd be like I don't know, like an Elon or like a Jack or something. Like I wouldn't want. I'd want to pick someone that's like yeah, I don't know, philosopher, monk, something like that, where it's just a broader sense of like understanding and wisdom about life. Because yeah, I wouldn't want to over optimize for like work and shit like that. So that would be my probably my answer. I don't know who exactly it would be. I'm sure I could figure someone out. But yeah, someone in that field.
Interesting. I thought you were going to say Josh.
No, I mean I'm sure that'd be elite too. Like,
Yeah.
Josh, you listening? Like, hit me up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I would do Tim. Like, honestly,
Facts.
I think he's a generalist and he sort of covers a lot of different areas of life, not just sort of work and business, but satisfaction, learning, travel. Like, he just, I don't know. I am very much in awe of Tim Ferriss, and I hope I'm friends with him one day. Like, that would be dope. Like, imagine just being able to call him up.
That's good.
Like, yo, like, what's like, I'm trying to make this decision. What's up? Like, to me, like, the number one reason I want to be successful
And there's access to people, right?
is network. Like, I just, and not even for like opportunities so much, like meaning business opportunities, but just to like
Chop it up.
like talk to people, bro. Like, I just want to chill with Tim and like be like cameras off, like microphones off. Like, let me just fucking like talk. Like, I could ask him 1,000 questions.
Yeah.
Adam Robinson would be an elite mentor too, though.
Yeah. You just reminded me really quick about that Grimes interview. It was pretty interesting to like. It's worth like spending 10 minutes and just picking like pieces.
No,
to watch.
I
Like,
listened to it. I listened to a little bit of it. Yeah.
Just like I don't know. I was just like I knew next to nothing about her. It was interesting to see what Elon's girl is like. But should we wrap this up?
Yeah, we should cap it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Much love, fans. Next week we'll try to have a guest, or maybe the week after. But much love.
Yeah, I'll hit up Garrett and ask him.
Thanks.
All right. I will. I'll talk to you
Peace.
later.
Peace.
Peace.